Hey folks, welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about how important it is for you to have your voice, how important it is for you to use your voice, how important it is for you to protect your voice. And what I mean by voice, I mean that individual part of you that God gave you to express your unique perspective, to demonstrate your internal universe, what you've learned throughout your life, what what is important to you. We want to hear that. We don't want that being tamped down. We don't want that being silenced or stymied in any way. And I'm noticing people's voices are being put down, that people are being restrained, and that if you do have a different opinion nowadays than the mainstream, you can get in trouble. So I think this is important. It all started with the word, people. In the beginning, there was the word. That came first, okay? So the fact that our First Amendment right is free speech, the word came first, and the word is what they're trying to take away from us. The word is important. So I'm here to talk about how important it is that you protect your voice, that you grow your voice, and that you speak your truth. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. All right, folks, welcome back. And like I said, we're going to be talking about how important it is to speak your truth today. When did it become not okay to have a different opinion in America or a belief other than the mainstream narrative? Since when is it not okay to believe in God in America? Since when is it not okay to believe in the body's natural immune system? Since when is it not okay to believe what's written in our Constitution is doctrine? Why has a difference of opinion been labeled as dissent in America? The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines dissent as a difference of opinion. That's it. However, if you're labeled as a dissenter, you might as well be a domestic terrorist nowadays. If you ask me, thinking differently has been labeled subversive for a long time. A lot of people may just be waking up to it right now, but for someone like me who's had a different opinion or a dissenting point of view, as long as I've had thought, I've basically been a voice of dissent. So it's been going on a long time. I just think it's becoming more and more egregious what the other side is doing to try and stifle dissenting points of view. It's actually become a concerted effort. It appears to be a campaign, actually. And it's not even that clever of a campaign, really. And what's fascinating is watching these folks act out their parts to me. Watching them, fully aware that we all know they're lying. And it's just fascinating. And since I mentioned it, we should talk about labeling. It's a favorite method that's used to instantly discredit, divide, subvert, and undermine the credibility of another person. And it's an old tactic that's really having its day. One thing to remember about people who are labelers, if you're ever labeled a racist, you should end the conversation. If someone labels you an anti-vaxxer, the conversation should be over. If you're labeled conservative Christian, end the conversation right there. If you're labeled a conspiracy theorist, conversation's over. Or a white supremacist or racist, the conversation's over at that point. And the reason the conversation is over is because you've just been made aware that the person you're speaking with is there to subvert you. They're not there to understand you. And you should inform them that they're misinformed. No, I'm not a racist. Sorry. I beg your pardon. And if you're stuck with them, you should probably set a boundary. It would probably be best if you and I didn't talk about politics going forward. So what's truly happening right now is there's a critical mass of dissenting voices in the country, and the counter-narrative has realized that something needs to be done about this critical mass of dissenting voices, in order to maintain influence over what people believe. And when you have control over what people believe, you can also have control over what they do. And this is leading to a new phenomenon that's referred to as bigotry of lowered expectations. If you believe at a primary level that human beings have the power to elevate themselves and disagree with those who suggest human beings are victims and helpless. If you disagree with the fact that a voter can't be expected to bring their driver's license to vote, or if a voter can't be expected to bring their own bottled water, then you're not really investing in their highest expectations. You're sort of betting on their lowest expectations. Now, to the contrary, if you believe that a person is fully capable of bringing their driver's license to vote, and you believe that they can bring their own bottled water to vote, then you're holding space for their highest expectations. And that's a very, very lowest common denominator example. But the fact of the matter is, some of us believe that human beings are here on earth to do our best every single day, to make the most of ourselves every single day, to overcome our issues, not be defeated by the struggles in our life, but to overcome them, to keep working on them, to keep chipping away at them. There are those of us who do believe in people's highest potential, and people like us who believe in people's highest potential. And for some reason, that's pissing people off in 2021. That's where we come up with bigotry of lowered expectations. If we say, well, that person, because of the color of their skin or because of their upbringing or, is incapable of being responsible enough to bring a driver's license to vote with them, should they be voting if they're incapable of bringing a driver's license? That's just occurred to me. But what's more important than that is that we need to give people more credit. Like, of course they can bring their driver's license to vote with them. Of course. If they're thirsty, they can get their own water. Like, what are we saying about ourselves? Okay, what kind of projection are we putting onto people when we presume that the lowest possible outcome is always going to be what happens? What does that say about who we are, and what does that say about who we think people are? So this bigotry of lowered expectations, is sort of dovetailed to victim mentality and telling some people that their lives matter. Well, yeah, all lives matter. Even mosquitoes' lives matter. Everything on earth matters. Plants matter, bugs matter, and all life matters. Okay? And if you have to be reminded that your life matters, probably because at some point you were convinced that your life didn't. We all know life matters. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with people who say, well, yeah, those lives matter, but so do these and so do those, and all life matters. And if you say that, you could get called a racist in 2021. I'm just saying. This talk is about using our voices after all. So the point is we can't play into this narrative of bigotry of lowered expectations. We have to hold the highest expectation for humanity, not the lowest. And whether we want to admit it or not, we're buying into a form of bigotry that's informed by a contrived narrative of lowered expectations. We're being told that we should have lowered expectations, and we're believing it, and we should. It also creates an environment that's hospitable to attacking people who believe in raised expectations. To quote one of my favorite guides, Ralph Smart, we live in a world so filled with lies that it fears the truth. Fear is manifested when we characterize having a different opinion as dissent, and from there we denote dissent with labels like radical, white supremacist, racist, conspiracy theorist, Trump supporter, conservative Christian, domestic terrorist. So what was formerly understood as being a mere difference of opinion now means you could go to jail for having a difference of opinion. Is this scaring anyone? And this is the point where we kind of have to ask why. Why on earth would those who rule proliferate a narrative that has demonstrated they'll take malevolent action against you if you have a different opinion? If you believe something other than they do, they'll come get you. This is happening in America. Why do they care so much? I'm just me. I'm just Mike. I'm not suggesting that I'm making such a huge impact that, the FBI is going to be showing up at my door, but they might, and no one would be surprised. It's being indoctrinated. It's becoming the new normal. Like, oh, I'm from Texas maybe, and I said some stuff on my Telegram page, and the FBI found out about it, and now they're knocking at my front door. Whether they're knocking you off Twitter or banning the former president of the United States from Facebook, the reason why you could go to jail, the reason why there is malevolent action being brought against human beings who believe something other than the mainstream narrative is because that could be a threat to their agenda. No offense, but this is textbook evil. It's mind control, it's repression, it's suppression. It's demonstrative of very bad things. And there are times in history that we can look back on, back when history was actually being taught in school, when malevolence befell those who spoke up about their difference of opinion. We can recall times in history when malevolence befell those who spoke up about their opinion, about their difference of opinion. How they were labeled dissenters, radicals, extremists, and then ultimately wiped off the face of the earth. It's practically a cliche. And yet it's happening in this country right now. So what does that say about those who are still being influenced and ultimately victimized by the divide, discredit, and subvert movement? Think about it. If someone literally wants you dead, because of something that was later retracted by the Washington Post? What does that say about them? What part of their agenda does your free speech threaten? If someone says to me, I just can't get behind the whole God thing, I pray for them. I pray that they find God. I don't want them dead. We have a difference of opinion, but I don't want them dead. I want them healed. And the good news is for those of us who sort of understand we're being gaslit by the media, and we go out into the world, we can see, hear, and feel with our own senses how united the people of this country truly are. And while certain influencers would choose to label us as still having much more work to do, we can see with our own eyes that the divide, discredit, and destroy agenda is utter bullshit. The truth is human beings are more united than ever. We're being kinder than ever to each other. We're happier than ever to see each other. And we're being open and available to each other in ways that we've never been before. There's so much compassion among human beings for human beings right now. It's utterly inspiring. It's overwhelming. My heart fills, when I see this. So if, for instance, you disagree with the narrative, the United States is a systemically racist country, and then you go out into the world and you experience firsthand, unity, peace, fellowship. You see this and you experience it with your own eyes. Believe what you see. Don't believe what you're told. Trust what's in your heart. Trust yourself. Trust your creator. And let's start trusting each other, and then it won't be much longer till we're out of this mess. So use your voice. Stay true to your voice. Speak even if your voice quivers, but stay true to yourself. So this is a fertile time for us to uncover our own seeds. This is a fertile time for us to go within ourselves and think about what's really important to us and do something or say something or make something, create something about it. It's not time to shrink. It's not time to fear. It's not time to be afraid. It's not time to feel limited. This is a very limitless time. Each one of us is sort of born into living in our own skin. No one knows what it's like to be you. No one knows what it's like to be me. That's what an individual, unique point of view is all about. And that's where genius comes from. That's where people wake up one day and realize they know exactly what needs to be done to save the world, and then the world gets saved. I mean, do you think Gandhi was popular in grade school? Gandhi was not popular, I'm sure, because he thought differently. But the way Gandhi thought, the way Gandhi saw the world, one person, he didn't even have a budget. You know what I mean? He just walked around and said what he thought, and he was so right that he changed the world. Same with Jesus. Jesus was not popular. Jesus did not say things that people wanted to be hearing at the time. Jesus was our Savior, and his opinion was so unpopular, they killed him. I mean, so this trend, right, of killing the messenger is not new, okay? They've been going after the messenger from the beginning. That's why free speech is number one. That's why in the beginning, there was the word, right? So they're trying to kill the messenger right now. And the reason why is because each one of us have within us a seed, a uniqueness, our own DNA. No one knows what it's like to live with my DNA that we need to share with the world. Okay? Dissent is how I elevated myself in my life. By having a dissenting point of view with my own point of view, right? I was aware that I was being influenced. I was aware that I was being programmed. I was aware that the data that was coming in needed to be checked, right? Because garbage in, garbage out when it comes to data. So I would dissent against my own point of view. I would think about what I was thinking and compare it to the way other people thought who seemed to have some things figured out that maybe I hadn't quite figured out yet. So by having a difference of opinion with myself, for being open to receive ideas from other people, I grew. I healed myself. I worked with the ideas of others. I integrated ideas that people who had sort of come before me and gone through the same thing that I might be going through in that moment. I listened. And it helped me, and it changed me. So let's read a little scripture. So today let's read Psalm 34:13. Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from deceitful speech. Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from deceitful speech, people. So folks, we need you, okay? If you've got ideas, if you've got opinions, we want to hear them. We need them in this country more than ever. We need to stay open to each other. We need to grow from each other's ideas. We need to say, I didn't know that. Or, you know what, that's a good idea. I think I might try it. Or, I don't think I could have done that if it were me. It's time to accept the fact that you're a divine soul inhabiting a human body that has infinite lifetimes of information to share with the world. We want to hear it, and we need it now more than ever. So that's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.